ඔෆිස් එකේදී විතරක් නෙවෙයි මම දැන් ගෙදරදීත් IDD calls ගන්න SLT phone එකේ.
ඔබේ නිවසේ SLT දුරකථනය දැන් IDD පහසුකම සහිතයි.
In your headlines tonight, worsening climate. Heavy rainfall leaves over 13,000 affected in 12 districts of the island. Onset of the southwestern monsoon season claimed 7 deaths so far.
In this period is very critical, so that people have to be very vigilant.
South and Ratnapura have given the priority.
Alleviating poverty. President Maithripala Sirisena invites all, irrespective of political affiliations, to work towards empowering the rural community. Expressing confidence, Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna chairman says any future elections will be contested under leadership of the former president.
All future elections, no matter what election it is, will be contested under the leadership of the Honourable Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Counter-attack. Former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa responds to Finance Minister Mangala Samaravira's statement. Winning another term, Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro re-elected for another 6-year term amid opposition claims of vote rigging. Welcome to First at 9 on Other Derana 24/7, Sri Lanka's news channel. Bringing you the news tonight, I'm Indivari Amwatha. We take a look at your top local stories. Inclement weather continues to wreak havoc across the island, with the onset of the southwest monsoon season adversely impacting the lives of over 13,000 as well as displacing over 1,000 people across the country. 7 lives have been claimed so far. A father of 3 was among the deceased as his life was claimed due to lightning. As warned by the Disaster Management Centre, many areas in the western, central and Uva provinces exceeded rainfall of 100 millimetres, while the highest rainfall was recorded in Anuradhapura with 353.8 millimetres. According to the Department of Meteorology, wet weather experienced in most parts of Sri Lanka are due to the low-level atmospheric disturbance in the vicinity of the island associated with the Intertropical Convergence Zone. In the meantime, the Department of Irrigation cautions residents in low-lying areas to remain vigilant as the Kalani, Kalu, Nilvala and Ging rivers are at spill levels.
As per the Department of Meteorology, a low-level atmospheric disturbance in the vicinity of Sri Lanka associated with Intertropical Convergence Zone caused cloudy and showery conditions over most parts of the island. Trade winds converging in the zone of low pressure in equatorial regions is called the Intertropical Convergence Zone. Atmospheric conditions in the Intertropical Convergence Zone are very unstable. Characteristics of an intertropical convergence zone includes rising air that produces high cloudiness, frequent thunderstorms and heavy rainfall. Satellite pictures of Sri Lanka shows high levels of atmospheric disturbance in most parts of the island. Satellite pictures taken every hour starting from the noon today shows how atmospheric disturbance levels increase in the vicinity and within the country. Accordingly, due to the inclement weather, there have been adverse impacts on the lives of many locals owing to heavy rains experienced colossally in 12 districts. Accordingly, the 12 districts are Colombo, Gampaha, Kalutara, Gaul, Matara, Hambantota, Ratnapura, Kegaul, Kandy, Norelia and Putlam as well as Kurunegala. The number of deaths due to the inclement weather situation rose to 7 with 13,314 persons belonging to 3,438 families have been affected across the island. The highest rainfall during the last 24 hours was recorded from the Putlam district. In the Putlam district, the worst hit was Anamaduwa as a rainfall of 353.8 millimetres was recorded, affecting 542 persons belonging to 138 families. Meanwhile, the Putlam-Colombo main road was seen inundated owing to the dam of the Mahaeliya Lake in Arachikattuwa breaking and the overflow of the Vijay Katupatha tank.
Rescue.
In the meantime, 317 persons belonging to 71 families in the Kalutara district have been affected due to the inclement weather conditions. According to the Irrigation Department, Kalutara, Dodangoda, Millaniya, Maduravala, Horana, Palindanuwara and Bulat Sinhala have been identified as areas at the risk of flooding. "927 persons belonging to 253 families in the Ratnapura district have been affected, while developments of flood situations have been recorded in Ratnapura, Ingiriya, Kiriyalla, Kuruvita and Alapatha due to the overflow of the Kalu river. A tree was seen fallen onto a residence at Balangoda, causing damage, while many schools were seen inundated in the district of Ratnapura. Nilwala river overflew from the area of Panadugama, causing floods in the areas of Matara, Kadavatsatara, Tihagoda, Malimbada, Aturaliya and Akurassa as well as Pitabaddara. In the districts of Gaul, 7,742 people belonging to 1,960 families are affected by the heavy rainfall. The Department of Irrigation states that with Ging River, which flows across the area, spilling over Tavalama and Baddegama areas have experienced a minor flood situation, which is expected to increase within the next few hours. Accordingly, Baddegama, Bope Poddala, Valivitiya, Divitura, Nagoda, Niyagama, Tavalama and Neluva are identified as areas at the risk of flooding. With a heavy rainfall experienced in the central hills, 2 sluice gates of the Kotmale reservoir was opened. Due to a landslide in the area of Diyagala in Ginigathena, the vehicular movement along the Hatton-Colombo main road was disrupted. Landslides were also reported in the areas of Agarapatana and in Pool Bank in Hatton. As per the Department of Irrigation, due to the overflow of the Attanagalla tank in Gampaha district, flood situations in the areas of Nigambo, Jaila, Katana, Minuwangoda and Gampaha as well as Attanagalla are expected to develop. Meanwhile, the low-lying areas of the Kalani River, including the stretch from Avissa Villa to Nagalagam Vidya, is continuing to increase. Accordingly, the risk applies to the areas of Colombo, Kalaniya, Kolunava, Biyagama, Kaduvela, Hangvalla, Dompe, Ruwanvalla, Dehiyovita and Daraniyagala. Meanwhile, the building that is being constructed near the Kimbulavala junction, adjacent to the parliament, was also seen affected by the flood.
And the National Building Research Organisation issued a 24-hour landslide warning across 8 districts in the island at 3 this afternoon. Speaking to First at 9, senior geologist of the NBRO, Dr. H.A. Jayasthisa, said that 5 out of these 8 districts are on red alert due to incessant rainfall. Meanwhile, the Disaster Management Centre said that the inclement weather situation is forecast to continue for the next 3 days.
Speaking to First at 9, senior geologists of the National Building Research Organisation said that landslide warnings have been issued to districts of Kegol, Ratnapura, Kurunegala, Badulla, Kandy, Matale, Colombo and Galle.
For the most serious affected areas, especially in Ratnapura district, Ehaliyagoda, Elapatha, Kuruvita and Ratnapura divisional secretariat divisions. There's one death reported from Kegol district, from Bulatkohpiti area. And that is also not because of a landslide, but because of a cutting failure. The cut slope behind the house has been collapsed onto the house. In this period, it is very critical, so that people have to be very vigilant.
Meanwhile, Army media spokesperson Brigadier Sumita Tapatu said that due to the inclement weather, 125 Army personnel have been dispatched to Ratnapura, Kalutara, Galle and Matare districts.
South and Ratnapura have given the priority. Ratnapura, we have deployed 30 with some boats. In Kalutara district, Palindanura and Bulasinhala also deployed about 40 with boats. Galle, Hinuduma, Thawalam and Nelua troops are deployed in those areas. And Matara, Moroka and Kamburupitiya also troops are being deployed.
Meanwhile, Minister of Education Akila Viraj Karewasam has directed school principals and zonal directors of education to decide whether or not to open schools in disaster-prone areas. Meanwhile, all schools in the Ratnapura, Dehiyovita and Nivitigal educational zone will be closed today and tomorrow due to the prevailing adverse weather condition. Furthermore, the Road Development Authority has cautioned drivers travelling along the Southern Expressway to maintain a maximum speed limit of 60 km per hour today as well. Meanwhile, a special discussion on the disaster situation was convened by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe at Temple Trees today on measures that is required to be taken to immediately dispatch relief items for flood victims. Furthermore, the Prime Minister has advised the tri-forces to be on call if the situation worsens. Meanwhile, Minister of Disaster Management Duminda Disanayake inspected a storage facility belonging to the Disaster Management Centre in Orugodavatta. The storage facility contained excess relief items donated last year.
විශාල බඩු ප්‍රමාණයක් තියෙනවා. ඒක බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා යම්කිසි ආපදා තත්ත්වයක් ඇති වුණොත් එහෙම ඉස්සෙල්ලාම මේ තියෙන බඩු ටික පාවිච්චි කරලා ඒ ප්‍රශ්නෙට ඉස්සෙල්ලාම මුහුණ දෙන්න.
A special media briefing was convened at the Ministry of Disaster Management this evening.
The prevailing situation is continuing until 2-3 days. And also until today evening, 14 districts affected by this heavy flood. And also 77 divisional secretariat area also affected. Already National Disaster Relief Service Center established 30 welfare centers, and also 1,212 people are now staying at these 30 centers.
If we take a look at water levels recorded at 3:30 this afternoon, Kalani River and Kalu River are at dangerous levels. Water levels of the Kalu River suggest that it could turn from minor flooding to major flooding over the next 24 hours should the rain continue.
President Maithripala Sirisena requests all stakeholders to join in the Grama Shakti People's Movement despite their political motives. The movement was launched recently with the goal of poverty eradication by year 2030. President Maithripala Sirisena made this request chairing the Provincial Steering Committee meeting of Grama Shakti in Badulla yesterday.
Under Phase 1 of the Grama Shakti movement, 1,000 underprivileged Grama Lidari divisions have been selected for a pilot project. The project aims to cover 5,000 Grama Lidari divisions by 2020, alleviating the poverty in selected villages. The progress review meeting of the Uva province took place yesterday, chaired by President Maithripala Sirisena.
Grama Shakti Jatika වැඩසටහන තමාගේ ශක්තියෙන් තමන්ට නැගී සිටීමට මඟ පෙන්වීමක් කරන ජාතික වැඩසටහනක්. මං ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා විශේෂයෙන්ම සියලුම මැති ඇමතිතුමාලා පාර්ලිමේන්තු පළාත් සභා පළාත් පාලන ආයතනවල මේ වැඩසටහන තමන්ගේ රටේ ප්‍රදේශයේ ජනතාවගේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් සහ වගකීමක් විදියට සෑම කෙනෙක්ම මේ සඳහා නායකත්වය දීලා දේශපාලන පක්ෂ ભેදයෙන් තොරව සංඛ්‍යාලේඛන පදනම් කරගෙන දිලුඳුකම වැඩි ගම්මාන තෝරාගෙන මේ කටයුත්තට ප්‍රමුඛත්වයක් දීලා තමුන්නාන්සලා මේ වැඩපිළිවෙල අතට අරගෙන ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න කියලා.
Moving on, Minister of Megapolis and Western Development, Partly Champiga Ranavaka, warns that it is a sign of the LTT principles being revived if students or any other party in the country demand politicians to act as per their requirements. Minister made this warning during an event held in Muratua yesterday.
ත්‍රස්තවාදය ක්‍රියාත්මක කළ ජනතාව ඝාතනය කරපු පිරිස් ඒ නායකයන්ව වීරාභිවන්දනයට නම් කරනවා මිසක් අපෙන් මෙහෙම වරදක් වුණා අපෙන් මෙහෙම බෝම්බ පිපිරීමක් වුණා අපෙන් මෙහෙම ඝාතනයක් වුණා ඒකෙන් මෙතරම් අහිංසක පවුල් ප්‍රමාණයක් අසරණ වුණා අපට සමා වෙන්න කියන වචනේ කියන්න මොවුන් නිහතමානී නැහැ. මම දැක්ක යාපන විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ ශිෂ්‍යයින්ගේ නියෝගය උතුරේ දේශපාලඥයින්ට දීලා තියෙනවා. කිසිම දේශපාලඥයෙක් අපේ අන නොතකා කටයුතු කරන්න එපා කියලා. මේක තමයි 70 ගණන් වල තිබිච්ච தත්ත්වය. අපේ අනට අනුව ක්‍රියා කරන්න කියන තැනට ශිෂ්‍ය ප්‍රජාවක් හෝ වෙන කෙනෙක් පත් වෙනවා නම් අපිට පේන්න තියෙන්නේ බලහකාරය ප්‍රචණ්ඩත්වය ප්‍රභාකරන්ගේ අංකුර නැවත මතුවෙමින් තිබෙන බවයි. ඒ නිසා අපි මේ සමාජයක් හැටියට වගකීමෙන් කටයුතු කරන්න කියලා අපි ඔබ හැමගෙම ඉල්ලනවා. අවිගත් සියලු දෙනාම අවියෙන් නැසෙන හැටි විජේවීරත් ප්‍රභාකරනුත් මනාව ඔප්පු කළා.
And leader of the Pivithuru Helaurume, Udaya Gammampila, says that the decision by the President and Prime Minister to remain silent over the controversial statement by Cabinet co-spokesperson Dr. Rajitha Senaratne over the LTT's late leader Velupillai Prabhakaran and LTT cadres confirm that it is the stance of the government. He made this remark during a media briefing in Colombo today.
After seeing the angry reaction from the general public, government ministers have now commenced to say that this is not the official stand of the government and they totally reject the statements made by Minister Rajitha Senaratne. We have a question to pose those ministers. What is the authority possessed by them to reject the statement made by the government official spokesperson at the government official media briefing? If the government official stand can be expressed only by the official government spokesman, not anybody else. If he express something other than the official government stand, he should be replaced with somebody else. Until this very moment, government official spokesperson is nobody but Minister Rajitha Senaratne. It reflects that his statement is approved by both the Prime Minister and the President despite rejection by his fellow cabinet colleagues.
Meanwhile, Lanka's Tamil Arusukatchi parliamentarian M.A. Sumantiran says that a diverse culture represents a high standard of living in Sri Lanka. Addressing an event in Jaffna yesterday, the parliamentarian went on to emphasize the importance of diverse society in the contribution to a developed nation.
Culture is expression of higher standard of living, and diverse cultures important to show forth the richness of any society. If it is a society that has just one type of people, one type of culture, it becomes a very boring society. Fortunately in Sri Lanka, although we have only 2 languages, we have various cultures and cultural forms, even from area to area. There are many cultural forms in these areas that I know are dying, and those must not be allowed to die, those must be revived.
Former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa reacted to the statement against him by Minister of Finance and Mass Media Mangala Samaravira yesterday. Former Defence Secretary claims that the minister made these allegations as he is known as a good leader.
Another conference of the Vietmaga organisation was held in Badula yesterday under the patronage of former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
Mangala Samaravira Amattumava Chandrika Bandaranayak මැතිනියගේ කාලේ පෝස්ටර් ඇලෙව්වේ රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්මයාට විරුද්ධව විශාල ප්‍රචාරක ගෙනිච්චේ එතුමා. නමුත් මේ ඊයේ පෙරේදා කියලා තියෙනවා මං එහෙම කරේ රනිල්ට වැඩ කරන්න පුළුවන් බව දැනගෙනයි. ඒකින්ද තමයි මම මේ බොරු ප්‍රචාර ගෙනිච්චේ කියලා. එහෙනම් ඉතින් මටත් වැඩ කරන්න පුළුවන් බව එයා දන්න හන්ද තමයි ඔය බොරු ප්‍රචාර ගෙනියන්නේ. මට මතකයි 2014 ජනාධිපතිවරණය කැඳවන්නට සුමාන දෙකට පමණ ප්‍රථමයෙන් ඒ මහත්මයාගේ ළඟම හිත මිතුරෙක් වන ඇවිල්ලා මට කියනවා මංගල සමරවීර මහත්මයා ජනාධිපතිතුමත් එක්ක වැඩ කරන්නට කැමති. මංගල සමරවීර මහත්මයා කිව්වා ඔබතුමා තමයි විශ්වාසවන්ත පුද්ගලයෙක් ඉන්නේ මේ රජේ. ඔබතුමාගේ මැදිහත් වීමෙන් මේක කරන්නට කියලා. එයාට විදේශ ඇමතිකමත් නීති ප්‍රතිසම්පාදන ඇමතිකමත් ඕන කියලා ප්‍රකාශ කළා. දැන් මහින්ද ජනාධිපතිතුමා ඒකට කැමති උනේ නැති නිසා එයා නැවතත් ඒ මැතිවරණයේදී විරුද්ධව වැඩ කළා. 2014 අවසාන භාගයේ ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ ඉන්න ඒ දූෂිත මේ රටේ ඉන්න දූෂිතම භයානකම රාජ්‍ය නිලධාරියා එක්ක වැඩ කරන්න කැමති මංගල සමරවීර මහත්මයා අද මම බලයට ආවොත් ගැන තියෙන භයකින් විශාල ප්‍රකාශනයක් නිකුත් කරනවා.
Chairman of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Professor G.L. Peiris, is adamant that the SLPP, together with the joint opposition, will contest any upcoming election under the leadership of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, highlighting that the party identity will be preserved.
Chairman of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Professor G.L. Peiris, reveals that a series of protests will be organised against the government as a whole.
The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, in association with the joint opposition, is organising a series of protests throughout the country. We want to make it very clear that these protests are directed against the government as a whole. It is certainly not our view that the responsibility for this lies solely in the hands of the United National Party. There is no way that the Sri Lanka Freedom Party can absolve themselves of responsibility for the very sorry state of affairs in our country today. SLFP is absolutely responsible for it.
The professor added that the Cabinet of Ministers has exceeded the limit provided by the provisions of the 19th Amendment and therefore has violated the Constitution.
19th Amendment, which is an integral part of our Constitution, lays down certain limits with regard to the number of Cabinet Ministers and the total number of ministers. There can be no more than 30 Cabinet Ministers, and when you add the State Ministers and Deputy Ministers, the total number is 70. Now, this is a device to circumvent that limitation and to increase the number of ministers in a manner that is clearly contrary to the provisions of the 19th Amendment. This is done on the basis that this is a unity government. Everybody can see how much unity there is. The Sri Lanka Freedom Party has made no clear decision to leave the government. Some of the most harmful decisions which have inflicted untold damage on the public of this country have really been the responsibility of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party.
Professor Peiris went on to add that the joint opposition and the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna will contest any upcoming election under the leadership of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
I want to make it very clear that the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and the joint opposition will contest all future elections, no matter what election it is, will be contested under the leadership of the Honourable Mahinda Rajapaksa. The identity of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna will be preserved. There is no value addition, no benefit to be gained by tying up with President Sirisena's Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Indeed, our party cadres have urged us not to do that. So, we do not for a moment believe that the struggle against the United National Party is going to be in any way facilitated by some kind of alliance with President Sirisena's SLFP, because it has been completely rejected by the people.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Welcome back. Director of Health Services of Sri Lanka Air Force, Air Vice Marshal Lalit Jayavira, was appointed as the president of the Sri Lanka College of Military Medicine. The induction ceremony was held in Colombo yesterday.
Commander of Sri Lanka Air Force Air Marshal Kapila Jayampati attended as the chief guest of the induction ceremony to appoint the president of Sri Lanka College of Military Medicine for the years 2018-2019 yesterday.
The LTT, one of the most organized, ruthless terrorist organizations in this world, was defeated through a well-organized military campaign. The army is strategically advancing on land on several fronts, the Navy guarding the coastline and the Air Force providing penetration and breach through air power. In addition, one aspect which proved vital for the success of the humanitarian operations was the ability of the armed forces of Sri Lanka to provide essential medical facilities at the battlefront. Even during peacetime, the value of military and medical sectors has been well established, especially in the wake of disaster situations.
Director of Health Services of Sri Lanka Air Force Air Vice Marshal Lalit Jayavira, who was appointed as the president of the college, revealed future plans for the coming year.
Out of many objectives of Sri Lanka College of Military Medicine, the main objectives are to promote and foster continuous professional development, contribute to research and innovation in military medicine, assist in planning and implementation of preventive, curative and rehabilitative military healthcare in collaboration with other national specialty colleges and related international agencies. Having identified the need for a specialized postgraduate qualification for military medical dental officers, a Master in Military Medicine was designed and is in the final stages of implementation. Following activities are planned for the next year to conduct professional development programs for the benefit of medical professionals in tri-services, to improve the professionalism of supporting staff. Continuous professional development programs and academic sessions are planned for the nursing and paramedical staff.
And moving on to your business news, Sri Lanka's nationwide inflation in April slowed to 1.6% from 2.8% in March on an year-on-year basis. The Department of Census and Statistics said today that inflation of 1.6% reported for April is the lowest since April last year. The NCPI for all items for the month of April marginally increased by 0.08% to 122.9 from 122.8 in March 2018. Year-on-year inflation of food group decreased from 2.6% in March to minus 0.3% in April, and the non-food group increased from 2.9% to 3% during this month. And the European Commission said it had begun the process of renewing a sanctions-blocking measure to protect European businesses in Iran after the United States pulled out of the Iran nuclear accord and reimposed sanctions on Tehran. The Commission said that the EU measure would come into force within 2 months unless the European Parliament and EU governments formally rejected it, but that it could also be activated sooner if there was strong political support.
We have proposed to act on 4 fronts, namely launching the formal process to activate the blocking statute by updating the list of US sanctions on Iran falling within its scopes.
Meanwhile, the European Union has notified to the World Trade Organization a list of US products on which the bloc may in the future apply extra import duties in retaliation for US tariff measures on steel and aluminium. The list contains products including rice, bourbon, corn, peanut butter and steel products. The EU said some retaliation could be applied from June 20th.
And oil prices rose today as markets reacted to news that China and the United States have put a looming trade war between the world's 2 biggest economies on hold. Brent crude futures were at $79.06 per barrel, up 55 cents or 0.7% from its last close. Last week, Brent broke through $80 for the first time since November 2014. US West Texas Intermediate crude futures were at $71.71 a barrel, up 43 cents or 0.6% from their last settlement. And as the trade war was put on hold, world stocks and the dollar rose but gave up some gains, but US bond prices were under pressure as safe haven demands for debt fell. In the currency market, higher US yields helped strengthen the dollar about 0.15% against a basket of currencies, while the euro dipped 0.1%. In the Asian market, Japan's Nikkei rose as the dollar's rise against the yen supported some exporters after news of easing trade tensions, but weakness in financial stocks kept wider gains limited. Meanwhile, here in Colombo, equities declined to a near one-week closing low today, dragged by diversified stocks. Market analysts are of the view that investors are awaiting clarity on the political and economic front. The all-share price index today dropped 25.99 to 6,466.07, while the S&P SL20 index lost 4.33 to close at 3,624.41. Turnover was 524 million rupees, supported by Sampath Bank topping the turnover list. And the Sri Lankan rupee ended slightly weaker in dull trade today due to dollar demand from importers, while a state bank sold the US currency. The spot rupee, which traded at 157.95 intraday, ended at 157.85 to 95.
Watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
In your headline-making international news, Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro has won re-election to another 6-year term in a vote marred by an opposition boycott and claims of vote rigging. Amid food shortages stemming from a severe economic crisis, the turnout was low.
Venezuela's election board said Nicolas Maduro took 5.8 million votes versus 1.8 million for his closest challenger, Henry Falcon, a former governor who broke with an opposition boycott to stand. Turnout at the election was just 46.1%, way down from the 80% registered at the last presidential vote in 2013. The opposition said that figures was inflated, putting participation at nearer 30%. Victory for the 55-year-old former bus driver who replaced Hugo Chavez after his death from cancer in 2013 may trigger a new round of Western sanctions against the socialist government as it grapples with a ruinous economic crisis. US President Donald Trump's administration is threatening moves against Venezuela's already reeling oil sector. The European Union and Latin American countries had also warned ahead of the vote that they would take measures against the government if it went ahead with the election. The exodus of Venezuelans leaving their country is expected to speed up further, driven out by Venezuela's severe economic crisis, which has led to shortages of food and medicine and the world's highest inflation rate. The number of Venezuelans living abroad increased to an estimated 1.6 million in 2017 from 700,000 in 2015.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
A very good evening and welcome to Forecast First. Now, with the onset of the southwest monsoon season, heavy showers are expected in most regions of the island with high precipitation zones towards the eastern, northern as well as the western region of the island over the next 24 hours. Now, this means some thunder showers are forecast for much of the northern province, particularly in the areas of Jaffna, Trincomalee, Batticaloa and Anuradhapura. However, moving downwards, we can expect some thunder showers in the cities of Colombo, Galle and Kandy. That's it from your weather centre tonight. Up next is your city by city forecast.
And that's all on First to 9. But as usual, before we go, we'd like to take you to the southern coastal belt of Sri Lanka, which is also known as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This historic city of gold provides us the delight to explore exotic old trading port blessed with imposing Dutch colonial buildings, ancient mosques and churches, grand mansions and museums. Most importantly, the Unawatuna Bay, a famous site among tourists that provide safe swimming. Have a pleasant evening. Good night.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.